I'll go get him.
I just got a little piece of information I'll just pass on. Senator Lofgren just sent me a text on the scooter bill that we asked about. And he said
Yes.
there's nothing on scooters in the e-bill as of now. He says, but he's sending it on to the manager on transportation and asks if scooters were brought up and what considerations were given in the subcommittee. And he'll pass that on, that information on when he has it.
Thank you. Well, we're going to be starting on collection and drainage, which is on page 17 of the enterprise fund. You might already be there.
So Dennis, you gonna get you a scooter and ride down the sidewalk at 18 miles an hour, run people over?
Well, that could very well happen.
You know,
Well, make sure
I
you
was
get you a
thinking
Muscatine
too.
sweatshirt so you look like Nadine.
No way.
But I think he jumped in as when he got.
I think with that new dog I got, I'll just get him a harness and I don't need an electric motor.
Just pull you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see him cleaning up things and making.
I
I'm
saw
waiting
him
for us,
romping
I'm waiting
around
for us
out
to have
there.
the discussion about those things, because I have no idea, how do you do that? Especially with these things going 18 miles an hour.
Well, that was my concern, too. They're pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Great.
I have some concerns downtown, like you know. At that speed, I mean, honestly, like, I've felt for a long time that we could take Second Street and make it a 20-mile-an-hour street, because you can barely get up to speed by the time you get one stop sign to the next anyway without gunning it. And, you know, and I'm downtown pretty regular. Even now, I still.
You realize that there's an ordinance already for skateboards and bicycles on Second Street and from Pine Street to Mulberry. They're not even supposed to be allowed on those streets, but they're there every single day. And I have been more than once almost run over by a skateboarder when I opened up the door and they're coming down the sidewalk.
You walk slow.
That's, I wouldn't like me to-
Stick with it.
I mean, you know where my office is at.
High maintenance.
So I mean, like, and I'm on the first floor. I'm not right next to the window, but I'm close enough to the window. I hear every skateboard.
Well, we
that
can
goes
talk
down the
capital
sidewalk.
projects.
It reverberates into the,
Oh,
into our
yeah, it
building.
does.
All right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We are on page 17 of the Enterprise Fund, Collection and Drainage. We have Brian Steinman here, we have Dave Pop here, and Nancy's going to get us started.
Okay, collection and drainage, the revised estimate is under the original budget by $6,600. Personal services, under by $1,100. There was some savings from a vacancy. Revised estimate for contractual services is over by $4,900. Next year, the total budget is $23,100, 1.6 higher than the current year budget. $13,900 increase in personal services cost, $3,500 increase in contractual services, $4,500 increase in capital outlay, and a $1,200 increase in transfers. Capital outlay includes $3,000 for a new computer, $50,000 for a one-ton dump truck, and $50,000 is allowed for sewer maintenance projects. We transfer to the sewer extension reserve from this budget, and also $200,000 to the reserve for the West Hill Sewer Separation Projects. This is, the collection and drainage fee is set by ordinance along with sewer fees. The current fee is $12.90 per customer per month, and July 1 of 21, it will go to $13.15 per customer per month.
So, excuse me, just briefly, collection and drainage is a five-man operation. There are 4 equipment operators and a lead worker, and then Dave. They do everything from unplugging sewer drains. They maintain the system, they flush it, they go out there on call 24 hours a day in case there's a backup. We have our vac truck, jetter trucks. They basically are responsible for making sure that everything that you flush or goes down the drain gets to where it needs to go. And then also in charge of the storm sewer system as well, so.
So we don't
questions?
want to talk about any crazy stuff, do we, Dennis? But we did talk about several times over the last many years about what we're going to do with the area over off of Hauser that is having problems with their storm drains, and Dennis has been getting involved in that. I think Nadine's been involved in that in the past, and Kelsey, and we've talked about it, and then it kind of goes away, and poor Mr. Burr has came in every single council meeting to say, please don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Please don't forget about me. And now that we're not meeting here in person, he's not able to come and say, please don't forget about me.
Sure.
But I think we forgot about him.
Well, I wouldn't say we forgot about him.
Okay.
We are actually positioning ourselves with the West Hill Sewer Phase 5 to be able to take some of the areas or some of the sewage from those areas and divert it so that it doesn't go to the lift station. That's the issue that we're having, is when it rains heavily, that lift station has in the past become overwhelmed, and then we have backups. There is another potential project that's a private project that if it develops, we could divert some sewer to go north and take more pressure off that system as well. The other thing that we would need to do, and we will investigate this, is look at doing an I&I, which is inflow and infiltration study in the area. The reason we believe that the system becomes overwhelmed is because we're getting rainwater, stormwater into the sanitary sewer system, which creates issues. So we do need to evaluate that. And that will be, it's not in this budget, but it will be planned. We think that with some of the improvements that we made with West Hill, that we're going to see some improvements there, and we'll continue to monitor that, and then we'll react as necessary.
I just have one question for you. Weren't backflow preventers put in? And they're automatic. I mean, they're just like a regular gate valve. They open and close on their own.
They fail.
The city has not installed any. That would be up to the individual property owners. My understanding was that
He had one.
he was supposed to have one.
Yes.
Whether he did one or not, he has not allowed us to go in and inspect it, so.
What I gathered out of it was that it was a valve and not a backflow preventer. And that he was opening and closing the valve, and the issues has been when he's not there.
Yeah,
And something
if
happens.
he installed a manual valve, then that would be a problem, yeah, but the backflows can be automatic, the pressure shuts them.
That's where I was confused at. And I
They could
didn't-
get jammed too,
yeah.
though. And
Well, they do, but it's
They,
more
they,
likely.
Yeah.
yeah, like anything else, they
Yeah.
can fail, yes, nothing's foolproof, but
Sure.
yeah. Everything else you wanna-
And
go ahead, Kelsey.
so I just wanted to touch on that issue too, and it's my understanding, and I did look at the document, that, because there was I don't know, it was an insurance claim or lawsuit involved. Lawsuit. But the resident did sign off on that. He accepted that judgment, and he accepted a check. And so, while I'm very empathetic with him about the situation that he's in, and I do appreciate that Brian is bringing forward some ways to mitigate that in the future, need to look for ways to mitigate that. That resident did accept a judgment and accepted a check, and that, in that, it was, here's your check, and you're accepting that everything's on you moving forward. So, I mean,
Liability shifted.
I didn't know that it was
really-
forever, though. I
that-
thought that was for the damage that was incurred.
He was supposed to install the appropriate measures within his own plumbing to alleviate the issue moving forward, and then maintain that, And so, like I said, I'm very empathetic to the situation he's in. I've had sewage issues in, my home before, and it's not fun. But, at the same time, he did accept that judgment. He did accept the money, and, released the city of liability moving forward on that. So on that particular issue, there's a reason that we haven't addressed his issue. He accepted that judgment.
I would still think, Kelsey, that he could come back on us again. I mean, I had the same exact issue. So you know where we're at on the
Yeah.
end of Newell. And all of the water and storm, and we're in the combined
Right.
sewer storm. And so it would come down there, and it got into our family room. And the city's insurance company paid for ours and paid to have a backflow put in. but they put in the wrong one. They put in an industrial one in, and and the water pressure isn't enough to open that steel door. It needs to be the plastic. And so then we paid to have another one put in. But then maybe 5 years later, another issue happened on the same lines, and that was a separate issue. Even though this one was all done and settled and we signed off, it was still
Well, if
another one. It's a
something's-
big problem with the combined sewer systems.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so now we have the correct one in, because our family room is finished, so it's a big problem if you get even one drop of water in there. So during a big rain event, though, you can't flush the toilets, or you would open that
Right,
flapper for it to flush out, and then it might get wedged open. So
yeah.
so we just go around telling everybody, don't flush.
But, the main thing is it's not on, that particular specific case is definitely not on Brian or Brian's group to, address without our,
But also, he's not the only house in the area that has the issue.
little admit, he's the only one that's come to us.
No, I've had a
No,
couple other
I
ones.
think there was
we?
three, I think there was three of them
Yeah.
that I saw.
It's that whole area.
Okay,
So,
He's
yeah,
just the one that's most vocal.
okay.
everything, basically that's been said here, what Brian said, we are, kind of incorporating,
That's
a
great.
portion of our actually this year's, sewer separation phase 5. We're looking past where that ends and seeing what we can do, how we can model our new sewer that we're putting in to accept some of that area.
That'd be
So,
great if we can make
Yeah.
a difference
And
there.
I'll address that with him.
Yeah, and I think you're very correct, Dennis. This was before my time, but I think you did put in a gate valve where you have to
Manually.
manually close it, so,
Which is different,
yeah.
but can be better.
Yeah, and you're right too, even if you have a backflow preventer, you still have to maintain those, they should be cleaned over time.
And you have to change the lid every year, the flapper piece, and
Yeah. Well, the rats will eat the plastic ones, so.
they came and dug out a whole chunk of our family room floor, jackhammered. But yeah, but it's fixed. But so it sounds like you got a plan there, that's good for Mr. Burr. So the next one is our other nightmare of Lake Park Boulevard. Better get the mic for that one.
We have a plan for that too.
Yay.
So we have requested a proposal for an assessment of the stormwater in that area. We're calling it the Lake Park Drainage Area. We got a quote for that. We have identified funds for that. That's after July 1, correct? Or is it revised? Anyway,
It may
we've
be
identified
revised.
funds for that, so that will be studied. We will get the watershed assessed, and then we'll be able to determine, volumes, and then where we can intercept and things like that, and then costs associated with those projects, official document. So that will happen this year. And then we could come back and present that to you once we get that study. So that has been, we identified it before, but now we have identified funding for it as well, so that will be
Good.
move forward.
Because I think the last time we talked about it, we talked about purchasing those houses even, and we didn't want to go down that road.
Yeah, that's an option.
That's an
That's
option,
what eliminates the problem. I mean, that's the ultimate final solution, but it's not it's an option.
Sure, sure. Peggy, did you have something?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Now, the change you were talking about out with the lift station on Hauser, does that incorporate Arbor Commons along with that? How is that going to work?
No, Arbor Commons has its own
Yeah, they
lift station that goes to,
Goes up to, Olean and dumps into a gravity sewer there.
so that does not go to that pump station.
Okay, okay.
That's in question, I guess. you'd
All
say.
right,
But
thank
that
you.
pump station that you're talking about down there by Hauser Street does go to Fulham also, doesn't it? The one that we're talking in
It goes,
Basically to Cedar Street.
Cedar.
and around, yeah,
Gravity that way.
yeah.
And if I remember correctly, we paid for part of that new lift station for Arbor Commons, didn't we? Wasn't it a,
We are going to maintain it once the owners put it in, and then we will accept and maintain it afterwards. They paid for the cost of it.
okay. I know there was some back and forthing on the cost of putting in the lift station. Okay, anyone else on collection and drainage? Thank you so much. These Lake Park and up there on Hauser has been a thorn in our side for many, many years, and to actually have some direction and possible solutions for it will be wonderful for a lot of people. Thank you. Okay, next we're on refuse collection, which is 74 of the enterprise fund. Nancy?
Yes. This current year budget incorporates two of the pretty significant changes that were implemented last year. One was to set up a fee scale for the compost site, and then the non-Muscatine residents and non-Fruitland residents do pay to use the facility. It also, starting a year ago, eliminated spring cleanup week. Revised estimate expenditures are $65,700 higher than the original budget. Net effect of personal services costs are $14,600 less. Contractual services are $80,300 more. That contractual services increase includes $42,600 for chipping from debris from the August windstorm. And that is expected to be 100% reimbursed by insurance. We're also seeing a higher waste volume from the city's refuse customers. So the fee that the refuse collection pays the transfer station based on 9,000 tons instead of 8,300 tons. That caused an increase of $42,000. Next fiscal year, the budget is actually $13,800 less than the original FY21 budget. Personal services are $26,300 higher. Contractual services are $39,000 higher. Capital outlay is $82,100 less, and transfers are $3,000 more. The contractual services increase is again for the higher waste volume, the 9,000 tons versus the 8,300. Capital outlay, the reduction, the current fiscal year includes $260,000 for a one-person automated garbage truck, and the FY22 budget includes $170,000 for a regular garbage truck. The budget does continue to fund the contracted curbside recycling program, and just recently, I think our agreement was set to expire at the end of March, but they've agreed to a one-year extension at the same rate. One more thing, and no rate increases budgeted or recommended for next fiscal year.
So hopefully you all are satisfied with your trash pickup service. We strive for that. Dave's guys do an excellent job, and gals do an excellent job with that. I wanted to touch on the truck request that we have. Our trucks are like all the rest of our equipment. They're getting old. They live a hard life. These one-arm trucks are particularly, they're out and back and out and back, and so those parts tend to wear and they need to be replaced. So the additional one-arm truck will help us to have a spare, because when they go down, it really puts a hindrance on what we are able to do. We have to go out and manually pick up trash, so that's important for us. I'm really happy with the bulky pickup. Getting away from spring cleanup week has been huge for our staff, for morale, for the roadway maintenance guys. Don't have to work on that anymore. But these guys that Dave has got put together, that the team does a really good job. It was kind of tricky starting this off in the middle of a pandemic. People were home, and I think they were just cleaning things out. So we had initially thought we would have about 20 pickups a day, and we were just overwhelmed with requests. We went from 20 to 30 to 40 pickups a day. And we were able to handle that. We're back down to around 20 now?
Yeah, so we've set, when these are scheduled, they've, got 20 kind of as a cutoff each day. And we're down, like this time of the year, around 15, so it's kind of leveled itself back out.
We, with our monthly reports that we're working on, we'll have that as a performance measure, the number of pickups per month, and then I'm actually tracking the weight as well. So you'll be able to see an average of what's picked up. Just, I know for the coming out from December, we had, I think it was 30 pickups, or 20-some pickups a month, or I'm sorry, a day, and they average about 190 pounds per pickup. So people are throwing out a lot of stuff. It's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to track that trend and see what gets put out. So we do weigh everything when we bring it in as well.
If you look at your performance measures table, you'll see the very last line you'll see the increase in the number of pickups. That gives you an idea of how many more that they're seeing. It's almost, not quite double, I guess,
But it's going well, so.
And you prefer that over what we did before substantially, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Dave's got some more information for you guys.
So yeah, as Brian said, this last year with 2 new programs, the changes that we did at the compost facility, very hard to track what happened there. But if we look at what we estimated we were going to have for revenue, we're kind of right on track midway through the year. Early in the spring, the facility was shut down when the first onset of COVID came on. So really hard to tell. Then with the ratio, the tonnage really went up. So I think it's going well, just not a good year to make a real good assessment on what the changes did for us. Bulky waste, same thing. COVID really threw us for a loop there with everybody being home, and the calls for pickups were just ringing the phone off the wall, but they got through it. Like I say, they doubled what we had anticipated we would take and got through it, and things are kind of leveling out and working out for us now. Going back to the extension for the contract for recycling, yes, it looks like we'll renew for another year with Republic, but one thing we did request in that extension renewal is to have a drop-off area for cardboard and recycling provided and serviced by them. So we'll see that coming on board probably late spring, early summer. We'll start off with 4 Muscatine residents and see from there, if there's some interest, if the county wants to work with us on a fee for county residents to use it, or
They're very interested.
Yeah.
They've contacted me a couple of different times, a couple of different supervisors about interest in serving the county residents.
And we'll have to negotiate with Republic because part of the contract extension deal was that it was for Muscatine residents, so,
And businesses?
yes.
There's a lot of cardboard in businesses.
One of the things that we'll have that will be inside the gates up by the transfer station office, so that we can monitor that, so we don't get the abuse like we had before, where people just bring us everything and throw it in the recycle bin. So we'll be able to closely monitor that. Hopefully that makes things easier for everybody. We still have the cardboard one downtown, or is that going to be replaced? Okay, so we'll have cardboard downtown where it is now, and then we'll have an extra one up at the transfer station.
The problem with the one downtown for me is I can fill it with my store alone, my daughter's store alone. I have a box truck and I fill that thing to the top when I go down there. And I can fill that thing, I just don't go there because I've been paying for it because it's just too much volume. So I think I'm not the only business that has that amount of cardboard, and it's sure a waste to put it in the landfill.
So, yeah, with the one at Third and Cedar, where we're paying for that now, that'll be part of their agreement or their extension, is that they provide that. So that's a cost savings for us there. Certainly down at the transfer station, we'll start off with probably 3 containers for cardboard. It's, a very large commodity that's generated in the community. And we're starting to see more value to that, so.
Not glass and plastic? And
So, we'll have
You'll have that also.
cardboard and a
Good.
commingled, yep. Kind of the plan there is to start it off, not in the permanent location it's gonna go to, because we're gonna build up a road and have it up by the scale so that it can be monitored better. But we'll still get going inside the fence. And that'll be open during the transfer station hours, so.
And everything will be commingled like we do at home too?
Yep, there'll be a commingled area and a cardboard area.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
I think that'll help a few things. One, it'll help the abuse that we had before, when it was just out in the open, but also the fencing around the area should help catch the flying debris that comes out of it. So I know I've had to, just with my cardboard at home, I've had to do the same thing, Dennis. I've had to just take it down and go through and dump it because the container over here was just packed full, and I know that got emptied recently, so that was good. But yeah, I do get contact from downtown businesses saying, hey, we'd really like to recycle our cardboard, and that thing just gets packed full
How
so
often does
fast.
it get emptied?
That was what I was just ramping up to ask, was how
So our
frequently
staff
will
checks that, and it's as needed, so
Okay.
if they check it and it's close to full, they'll call. And, it's not always the same day that's serviced by Scott County, so usually within a day or two, they can make it down to dump it, so.
Okay. And if it's packed full and nobody's noticed it yet, who do you want, where do you want someone to call?
Either myself or the transfer station.
Okay, perfect.
Anyone else?
I did have a question on the waste. We were at, okay, where is that?
What page are you on, Nadine?
Well, I think I was on the first page where we had an additional probably 0.5 million tons or 50 mil, whatever it is. Are we seeing a reduction in recycling, or what do you attribute the increased refuse to?
Is that what you were talking about, Nancy?
Yes.
So recycling, no, we're not seeing a reduction. We're pretty steady each year with around 1,300 tons of recycling collected. Refuse, any increase, I assume you're talking about what's collected curbside by our crews? Yeah, so we're kind of attributing that to COVID also. A lot of people were home and cleaning out. If they couldn't get it on a bulky waste pickup, they were, utilizing their trash cans as much as they could, so.
Okay, so we're just throwing away more stuff.
Yeah, yep. Like I say, COVID really affected a lot of areas of what we do, and we kind of attribute, more people working from home or being, out of work and utilizing that time to clean house, so.
Okay,
So a
thank
couple
you.
years ago, we bought the trucks that did the automatic for our pickup, not Republic, of course. And part of the reason that we did that was we were looking at cutting down injuries and things. So have we seen a dramatic drop in injuries, and has the positives really meted out from what we were planning?
Yeah, we don't see injuries, very much at all, so, yeah.
So it fulfilled its purpose that we were hoping for.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Good. Are you having any more problems? Are people all acclimated to the process now? And, of not putting out extra bags beside it and things like that? Or do you guys still run into some problem homeowners or renters that are not following the process?
Yeah, certainly we see, some people that aren't familiar with, maybe they moved from another community and they could do that there, but, we have a community resource officer that patrols and communicates with those type of situations if she sees them. She'll educate the homeowner and get a hold of us to try and get that cleaned up so it doesn't have to sit there for a long time.
Did we do anything extra this year at Christmas? I mean, in the past, we've had a little bit of leeway at Christmas time with people throwing out extra.
Well, we do, of course, the Christmas tree pickup for the month of January.
Right.
But as far as extra trash, what they're able to do there is get on the bulky waste schedule. And
Okay.
we pick it up that way, so. We've had, you know, some instances where, for example, mom and dad may be living with kids for whatever reason, illness or injury, or, you know, just the home is generating more trash than what they can fit in their can. And what we're doing with those kind of cases are just automatically every week putting them on the bulky waste pickup list so that, you know, they can set out extra bags and they're getting picked up.
Would it not be simpler and cheaper and easier to just give them an extra can than to make a trip over there?
It gets into a tracking issue then, you know, if they move, you know, where's that extra can going, or it really works out better for us this way.
Okay. Go ahead.
Don't you guys still have different sizes of cans? I mean,
Yes. So when the program was implemented, it was a 35, a 65, or a 95-gallon can that you had the choice of getting, with the option to just call and have that upgraded. And really just about 90% of everybody is now up to a 95 just because they like that better, so.
maybe it might be a good idea, because I found that a lot of people, when I mention it, they're unaware that we have different size cans.
Okay,
And I didn't even know that until you brought it up with me one day.
yeah.
So maybe if we could do a better job of making that known, or maybe ask our communications gentleman to put it on our Facebook page with.
Yeah, it's on our website.
Okay.
And we can get a bigger Republic can too, right?
Yep, same
I thought so.
Scenario
'Cause
there.
most of us don't have the biggest, most of us have the biggest garbage,
Garbage,
but
yep.
not the biggest recycle. Isn't that correct?
See, I'm the other way around.
Are you?
If I had the biggest trash can, I could probably skip putting it out on the curb for 3 weeks or so. I already only go every other, I usually just put my trash out with my recycle and keep on that schedule, so.
Yeah, but I think it'd be nice if, maybe the information is out there, but maybe it needs to be reminded.
Mhm.
We remind everybody about that.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing.
It'd be good for Kevin to do a social media push on it, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So every year, with that being said, in the budget, I usually budget for one order of new 95-gallon cans. The minimum order is 112 cans, and that's around $6,500. We find that with that, you know, if we buy those in August, usually by the next July, we've handed those out. And so, you know, this time of the year, we're getting kind of low on those. So we, you know, when we look at doing our next purchase, in fact, in this budget, we doubled the amount of those that I'll purchase in August. So that would be a good time to, you know, do an educational outreach.
Sure. I think an informed consumer is a happy consumer, so let's make them aware of it.
Anyone else? All right, very good, thank you. Landfill. We are on 83 of the enterprise fund.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of history in this narrative. I won't.
We had talked about having an in-depth on the landfill to explain the Solid Waste Management Commission and the city's role, and because that can get real dicey to understand whose responsibility is what with the landfill.
You can do that.
Okay.
And
I know you and I've talked about it
Yeah,
a couple times, Dave, and our commission
One of my
has.
goals is over time put together kind of a booklet, you know, explaining the history of the landfill and waste in Muscatine County, and, you know, just kind of an easy go-to where anybody can pick it up and understand how that works with the Waste Commission and with the city running the landfill.
Because it is kind of
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way,
Yeah.
unique. And also, if I was hoping for some kind of a media thing, because people, and I explain it to people all the time that call me, but people don't always understand that county people can use the landfill, the access to the landfill and the solid waste, but the recycling is different, and the mulch and all of that part is all different. And so they don't understand why the the transfer station is for the whole county,
Yes.
but the stickers that you get, the county doesn't get one. And so then they're like, what do you mean we don't get one? And so then you go into this, 15, 20-minute explanation for why they don't get a sticker, even though we have to let them use, they're part of the transfer station. So I wish there was a way we could inform the public about
Yeah,
that.
and a pretty easy way to explain that is your brush dump facility, compost facility, and your recycling collections are funded through the monthly fee that each resident pays.
The part we pay to MPW.
Yes, yep,
But some of the county people get MPW, and so then
Yeah.
that gets a little wonky there, but they don't pay that part.
right.
And so I tell them, we all pay for that sticker
Right.
on our MPW bill.
And another way to look at that, if cost were to, cost to run those facilities increases, it's the residents of Muscatine that will see the increased fee, not the people outside of the city limits.
Exactly.
I have a suggestion. The county could just supplement us based on how many residents are in the county that might use it, and then we'd be happy to, I'm sure we could work something out where we could do that.
They're very
but-
interested in some kind of a deal. I
Yeah,
mean, they're not pleased with the setup.
I foresee once we get into this and get kind of the kinks ironed out of it, we'll approach the county, or if they want to approach us later this year and see what we can work out, so.
And the Solid Waste Commission is the mayors of all the city, and then a county supervisor. And so it gets brought up a lot in there.
But I'm sure it would make more sense for them to partner with us than for them to create their own, so.
Oh, yeah,
you know.
definitely. Sorry, go ahead, Nancy.
No, that's okay. Dave and Brian and I have had a lot of conversations about this, so I think in general, we need to sort of zoom out on our waste shed, which is typically a regional issue, and look at sort of all of the variables, I guess I'd say. So this is something that we have all been thinking about, coming back to council with sort of an idea around a master plan around our waste shed and how to manage our different sources, so those kinds of things. So just know that I think a more strategic approach. And Dave is a great thinker around these things, and Brian's okay too. But we're hatching plans, I'd
Yeah.
say.
And we're gonna have to, in all fairness, we're gonna have to be making some really tough decisions about the landfill in a few years.
Yes.
And so having all that information ahead of time already learned will be a big benefit as we go into making some of those pretty tough decisions. Go ahead.
Okay. Just want to point out a few things. On page 83, the tonnage is there in that graph. Our big increase in 17-18, the 49,000 tons, that was after the hailstorm and windstorm. So there was a lot of roofs and stuff that were disposed of. We had originally budgeted or estimated 42,000 tons for the current fiscal year, and now it looks like we're more on pace with 40,000 tons. And that probably is generally at just the economy. The chart on page 84, we've maintained the total transfer station tipping fee at $60, but that $60 incorporates the landfill part of the fee. So we have varied that through the years based on capital needs at the transfer station as well as the landfill. Page 85, that chart shows how from June 30th of 2010, 2.5 million deficit in the landfill fund up to the projected positive balance at the end of FY22. And that balance can be used for the next cell construction and any other needs that are identified at the landfill. The revised estimate expenditures are $18,400 less than budgeted. Net effect of a 200 increase in personal services, 5,000 increase in commodities, 11,700 decrease in contractual services, and a 15,600 decrease in capital outlay. And also a 3,700 increase in transfers. The decrease in capital outlay, I think we're pretty much through the groundwater remediation work that we had been carrying forward funding for the last several years. The increase in transfers, every year we have to transfer money into the closure and post-closure reserves, and that's based on an engineering study that's done annually. Revised estimate landfill revenues are 56,300 less than originally budgeted. That's because of the 2,000 ton decrease in estimated waste volume. The budget expenditures for FY22, 105,700 less than the original FY21 budget. There's a 4,100 increase in personal services, 12,300 decrease in contractual services, 103,000 decrease in capital outlay, and a $5,500 increase in transfers. There's only two items in capital outlay budgeted for FY22, and that's 7,000 to replace 2 tarps and 10,000 for a trash fence. The waste volume for next year, we're projecting that to stay at the 40,000 tons. And then revenues are also based on that. During the past year, I think it was after last year's budget was, they successfully transitioned from the previous landfill contractor to the new contractor, Rittmer, and they can talk more about that.
Yeah, so that's, I think as you're all well aware of, we were struggling with our landfill contractor that we had out there for a long period of time. Worked through that and brought on a new contractor, and couldn't be more pleased with the way operations are going out there. Really, taking care of issues and running the landfill for us the way that should be done, so.
Questions on that? We should be getting an update pretty soon from our guy out there, shouldn't we? He usually comes to council periodically and gives us.
Tim Bulow?
Yes.
We kind of request that kind of thing.
Okay.
We can do that.
Everything's going along swimmingly, Will.
Probably, if it's all right with you guys, we'll just request a narrative from him, because it is quite pricey to have him come.
Yeah, sounds good. Go ahead, Dennis.
I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
The first thing I want to thank Dave, he took John and I out there last summer and took us through a tour, which I had never been in the landfill, so I thought it was really interesting. If you haven't gone out there, probably now's not the time to go, but come summer, make sure Dave brings a four-wheel drive with him too, and
Oh, yeah.
it's a good thing to look at and good way to see, and you can really see how much there is out there and how much room we've got left, and so I was really happy to have gone there. The question I have is have we done, I see there's a big push for recapturing the methane. Is there a push for that anywhere soon?
No. Our landfill generates a minimum amount of methane, and really only in one section of it. So we're under the amount generated to where we can just release it into the atmosphere.
Okay.
If we were to get into the recapturing, I'm not saying that will never happen, but I don't think we're at a point where we want to make the capital investment on that and the equipment and.
It's a source of revenue is all. Just not enough, it's not enough.
Well, and you have to generate it, if you're not generating it, there's not that much to recapture, so.
Thanks.
I'm not saying we'll never get to that point, but right now, for the immediate time, it's really not worth our investment to do that.
Thanks.
Well, and do we reduce the potential to generate some of that at the landfill by taking I'm spacing off the name of the drainage fluid that comes out of there.
Leachate?
Leachate?
The leachate, thank you. By taking the leachate now down to John Cook, is that how that's being handled, or is that going to be? I was thinking
No.
that he was putting that through the
So leachate is collected as groundwater in the landfill. It really doesn't affect gas production.
Okay,
The way we handle our gas production is through a series of vents that just strictly vent it into the atmosphere.
okay,
One of the things, there are a few landfills in Iowa that do try to generate and capture methane. One of the things you do there is you incorporate your yard waste into the landfill also. I'll give you an example, Iowa City landfill, they produce substantially more methane than what we do, and they actually have a system to capture it, but they simply burn it off. So, you know, they're not at a point where it's fiscally smart for them to do something with that.
was that how they caught their landfill on fire a few years back?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think so.
Because that, you could see that burning from here. We don't want that.
That
Kind
was
of like when we
tires,
burned
wasn't it?
our, what did we burn
The
a couple
liner.
years ago that
I don't know
burned
what
for
started the
living
fire.
ever?
It was a tire
What was
liner.
that?
All of our brush.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we learned from that one.
Yeah, we won't do that again.
I might have got a few calls about that brush.
Yeah, me too.
Fire.
Uh-huh.
I have a question.
Yes.
Dave, was it the holding pond there?
Yes.
Is that for leachate?
Yes, that's our a lagoon that was installed in 2017.
Yeah.
So,
Just
with-
wanted to make sure I had that straight, because the leachate doesn't all just drain out over the hillside. You have your holding pond there.
yeah, so we have two 10,000 tanks, collection tanks out there.
Right.
We have a series of underground collection pipes under the landfill. These tanks are one pumps into the other, and we either pump it into the lagoon to store it, or we haul it down to the water treatment facility. The lagoon is part of a mandate from the DNR. Going back, there was some ground contamination from leachate spilling outside the tanks, and this was an insurance policy to the DNR that we have the capacity to store it if we need to, if we can't get out to haul it, so.
Anything else on the landfill?
There's a couple things I just want to point out. In the performance measures table, we do have the estimated landfill space remaining in tons and in years. So at the end of FY '22, we're estimating that there's 3.5 years left in Phase 5, and then they would need to, before then, start constructing Phase 6.
Yeah, so probably in the '23 budget, we'll be looking at the cost, awarding the contract to construct Phase 6.
Which is the final phase, right?
The final phase that we are permitted to have out there, at that point, we do have the ability to apply for more airspace at the landfill and potentially get quite a few more years use out of it.
Good. All right.
Page 89 is the landfill fund statement. And we have been increasing that fund balance. It's estimated at $1,741,000 at the end of FY '22. So that should be more than sufficient to fund the cost of the cell number 6 development without incurring a deficit. There's some reserves, 90 and 91 are surcharge reserves that are kind of a pass-through, one to the landfill and one to the transfer station. Page 92, and this was we were required to have annual transfers into both a closure and a post-closure reserve. And that's based on that engineering study that's done every year. So at the end of FY '22, we're estimating the balance in the closure reserve at $1,656,000. And then page 93, the post-closure reserve, estimating that's $1,169,000. And these are the required transfers based on the engineering study.
All right, transfer station, 96, enterprise.
Okay, the same tonnage is in the landfill and the transfer station budget, so it was a spike in FY18, and now we're looking at 40,000 ton. Revised estimate expenditures at the transfer station are 63,000 less than the original budget. Overall, it's due to the net effects of a small $1,200 increase in personal services, a $64,100 decrease in contractual services, and a small decrease in capital outlay. The reduction in contractual services is directly related to the reduced waste volume. The transfer station pays the landfill based on the tons that go there, and we also pay to haul to the landfill. So that reduction in contractual services is a combination of those two things. Revised estimate tipping fees, then that's again under because of the reduced waste volume, but still $2,084,600. And there is a positive fund balance at the end of this fiscal year, estimated at $327,000. Next fiscal year, expenditures are $57,000, 2.7% higher than the FY21 budget. The budget, again, is based on 40,000 tons. There's a 10,800 increase in personal services cost, a 49,900 decrease in contractual services, and again, that's reduced landfill fees and reduced hauling fees. A 136,500 increase in capital outlay, and about a 40,000 decrease in transfers. Capital outlay totals 142,000, 78,000 to replace a transfer trailer, 30,000 to replace a pickup truck, and 34,000 for 4 lift station pumps. We do have the decrease in transfers. We had an internal loan in this fund for some equipment purchased in prior years. That's paid off in this current fiscal year. And then as I mentioned before, the full transfer station rate is $60 per ton, but the part that goes to the full rate fees, 30 of that goes to the landfill and 30 of it remains in the transfer station. That's my highlights. Do you have more?
Kind of to talk about capital purchases. If you notice, there's some pumps, lift station pumps that we requested funds for. We have 8 pumps that are original to the building. It's time to start replacing those out. So this year I've asked for half the funds to replace half the pumps, and then next year we'll come back again with the other half. Our transfer trailer, we purchased a new aluminum trailer last year, and that's really working out well. The trailer itself is lighter, so it's giving us ability to haul more tonnage with each load, which helps save on the expense for hauling. And then pickup truck, we've got an old 94 pickup truck that used in the operations there that we're requesting to replace.
Did we get the tipping floor replaced?
That will be bid out after July of this year.
Is that gonna be in,
That'll be in a capital project we
capital,
talk
okay.
about Tuesday.
okay. How did we make it through the year? No accidents with that?
Yeah, so staff, one notable thing that kind of ties to the landfill operations is things are working better out there, which allows us to have things work better at the transfer station as far as what we take in and having that go out when it should. We're not piling up the trash on the floor like we used to. It's getting, we're taking it in and we're hauling it right out, which allows us to see the floor better. So any any hazards that pop up, we're taking care of those right away, cutting off any rebar or anything that might cause an issue, so.
I know that was a really big concern of council last year, of anybody getting hurt on that. And we were hoping it would get taken care of quickly.
Yep, so, yeah,
So
like
July,
Nancy's.
you're going out for bid on that?
Yep, it'll be an engineered project that will go out for bid, so.
Yeah, we saved an hour we talked about that for an hour last year, at least.
I'll say, I mean, I've been down there a couple of times, and I noticed right off the bat when I went in there that there was significantly less
Yeah.
debris in there than I'd ever seen before, so they're definitely keeping
Is that because of the truck going back and forth is making it more trips easier?
The ability to keep the landfill open more,
Yeah.
where in the past, our operator would close down.
Oh, okay, so that's helping you. Gotcha. That makes sense. We needed out of that long ago.
apparently.
I can't thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
enough for letting us do that.
You get what you pay for, and we
Yeah.
kept it because it was cheapest game in town, and doesn't mean best.
So no, overall, things are going well. We're
Great.
making good improvements and, hopefully the tonnage stays up so that budgets can work.
Comments, questions on the transfer station? I think people have starting to get used to not having spring cleanup week. I still get calls periodically, but I just keep saying you can get it at will.
Yeah,
Just
it'll
call.
be interesting to see, last year, it just timed out right, where it was spring
did.
and it was COVID. I think this year, I'm guessing we'll still have more volume that time of year, just because they're used to that, but I think over time, it'll be, to me, it seems much more easy. You just call and you get it taken care of, so, yeah, I think we'll see that improve.
One of the questions that I get posed with occasionally, and I don't ever have a good answer for it, is one of the things with spring cleanup week, you just put, all week you can work on your cleaning out your garage and what have you, and just keep piling your stuff out there. But if you call to schedule your pickup, they want to know, what do you have? And you got to schedule it, several days in advance, even a week, if you really want to make sure you get it on that day, but maybe you haven't cleaned your garage yet. You don't want to clean it all out, sit it all out there, and then call, because now you got it sitting on your curb for another week. And I don't really know how to fix that.
Well, there's, some leeway there. We don't have to know, that you've got a garden hose that you're gonna put out there in addition to a couch. Kind of what we're after when we ask, what are you gonna have? One of the things we don't allow, say you wanna tear down a garage or a shed or a major demolition project.
Pickup load is what I tell them.
Yeah, we don't allow big piles of construction debris just because it's very time consuming and it's a hazard for the employees with nails and screws and whatnot, so.
So can they just say household goods?
Yeah, I mean, if they can give a general idea, if they say they've got, I've got a couch, I've got a recliner, and I've got a garden hose, if it comes time to put the pile out and they have a couple more items in addition to that, we're still gonna pick it up. We kinda want a general idea of what you're gonna set out. And that's more so that staff taking the call can make recommendations if they're not within our rules, I guess you would say.
I can see why you need to know, but do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
If they don't know ahead, and we don't want people setting their stuff out for a week in advance.
Right,
That was part of the reason to go this route.
Yep.
I mean, I guess if I went down to clean out our garage, I wouldn't be able to tell you ahead of time what all's gonna be in that garbage pile.
I would just say that, if it's set out and it's within, we're gonna pick it up.
You're
We're not
gonna pick
leave
it up.
sit there. Now, if it's something that's illegal or that we don't handle, then we
Well,
wouldn't
sure.
obviously pick it up. But yeah, I get your point. And
Okay.
I would say you call, give us an idea so that we can, schedule a budget.
idea.
I mean, we need to know what's gonna fit in the truck, that kind of thing, what size truck should we send, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if that pile creeps in size, we're still gonna pick it up.
Good. How are we doing? Oh, I'm sorry, Dwayne.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say, I used them once last year, no problem.
Perfect, no problem, great.
Yeah, I've used the curbside pickup several times. Called on Monday morning, even on a Tuesday morning, and it's picked up on Wednesday. So I had an additional question though too. Are you starting the day out with 2 people in the truck? Or one, or?
Yes, 2. So as part of this change, I don't know if you remember, we did hire a 3/4 time person. So, yeah, right away in the morning, the crew. So what, the bulky waste
I
collection.
didn't know we hired anybody extra.
Yeah, we did.
I thought we were gonna start that out absorbing those hours with current staff.
There's
and
really
then-
no way that we would.
Oh,
The staff for refuse collection is pretty thin the way it is. There's really no extra personnel there to absorb that, so. So the agenda for the collection staff for the day is they'll take a big truck and go do the bulky waste collection stops. And then they also are responsible for yard waste collections,
yeah.
appliance collections, here this last month, Christmas trees. So it's really working out well where when it's time for that 3/4 time person to go home, most of the work is done and you know, they can go home and the other person finishes up on the smaller pickups.
Go ahead, Nadine.
Are we planning on doing specific weeks this spring for tires and electronic?
Yeah, well, this year we did it after July 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm envisioning that we'll probably try and keep that same pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a free electronics drop-off week and a free tire drop-off week.
Yeah, I have stuff to put out and I forgot it, just kind of, so I'll have plenty.
One notable, talking about electronics is we really saw a large increase in the number of electronics that we handled this last year. And we had, part of the budget was increasing funding for electronic disposal. I kind of attribute that to the stimulus checks. People were out buying electronics and throwing
Could
out
be.
their old, so.
I paid like $120 because my grandson tricked me. Oh, Grandma, I got some trash. Will you get it for me? 5 TVs.
Probably large ones.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yep. He probably found out they were gonna cost. So sick it on me. So I know we've got the automatic trash picker-upper so that we don't have as many workman's comp. What are we doing to protect our guys that are going around picking up the bulky waste so that we don't just transfer the injuries from there to here?
So, we have lifting restrictions in our personnel policy, they're observing that. They're real good about if there's something that they think they shouldn't be lifting up and putting in the back of a garbage truck, they'll swing back around with a truck with a Tommy lift on it to make the
Good.
lifting easier. One really notable thing that we've implemented this last year is on our mattress collections, we are requiring people to put them in plastic bags.
Bed bugs.
Yeah. So that's, we're seeing,
And we give them the plastic bag, right?
yes, we do. Yep, we'll provide, we ask them, if they're getting a new mattress, to put it back in the bag that it came in, if that's possible. Or they can come down and pick up however many bags they need from the transfer station.
Dwayne, did you have something?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay, good. Yep.
So, yeah, it's, certainly we stress to staff to, there again, if you've got a pile of construction debris, you watch out for nails and screws and
I bet that's a tough job,
it is.
picking up that
especially-
bulky waste every day.
Especially with the snow windrows, people are, if they put them out and we plow snow on top of that, they gotta dig it out of the snow, so.
Anything else on the transfer station?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Really appreciate all you guys are doing. And I think a couple of us were hesitant, when we were trying to do away with spring cleanup week. That was a touchy thing here. But I think you've managed to still fill all of their needs and make it work.
Yeah, like we talked about, we're hoping things are coming around and we're getting caught up and,
Now, we'll see come April how many phone calls we get, because you're right, last April, they might have just thought it was because of Corona.
yeah.
Now, this April,
We'll see it in March. We'll start getting increased number of calls, what date is spring cleanup, so.
maybe a real nice push from Kevin out on that, about that time. If you're looking forward to spring cleanup week, don't forget.
One thing we do is
Yeah.
send out calendars every year, and we've got an advertisement in there that explains spring cleanup, so.
I was gonna ask you too, one thing we did before with, the Republic on people still get mixed up on when it's their week for recycle, because
Right.
it's every other week. And sometimes you'll see the whole street, I think people copy each other, you'll see the whole street wrong. And one year, we gave everybody magnets that told everybody when your refrigerator magnet, and everybody could put it on their refrigerator. I think it had a couple of emergency phone numbers on it too, Public Works number and Muscatine and what have you. And then when your weeks were all year. Is that something that's doable? It was the fridge magnet. And then paper, I know we get it in our power and water bill, but that goes right in the trash for most people. But a magnet was nice.
I got a real nice laminated one in the mail for 2021.
Did you?
I stuck it up right above right on the wall, so I can see.
And
It's
Kevin's
a
got
nice
that
laminated.
posted on the website.
I know it is all there, but the fridge magnet,
I think we got away from the magnets due to the cost.
Yeah.
oh,
There
maybe.
was quite a drastic increase
Okay.
in cost for that.
You have to remember. I think the price magnets, and it was around $10,000.
Oh, wow.
Around $4,000.
All right, forget
Yeah.
the magnets.
Never
I
mind.
just
I'll tape
swap
it.
out on my refrigerator, I just swap
Yeah.
out the thing, the sheet that says.
Yeah.
I just have trouble remembering whether I'm A or B, so I wait for the neighbors to put theirs out.
But aren't they highlighted? I think mine's highlighted the week I am, they send it out based on where you're at, the highlighted is your week, so. I don't worry about it anymore, because my neighbors never put it out right anyway, half the time.
They're
long
waiting
as-
for you, Dennis.
Tell your neighbor that.
If they're copying me, they're sure wrong.
I think it's so funny to see a whole street be
Oh, yeah.
wrong. And they copied everyone else. All right.
So just from Public Works, thank you all for your support throughout the year, and thank you for letting us, hopefully approving our budget request, and we will put it all to good use, and great to see you all again.
Thank you, guys. We know you got a big job all year round.
So Brian,
Do you have a half
Brian?
hour?
do you still have that car that you can't get out the back seats?
No, we got rid of that. Now we're
Be
trying.
good, good.
Yeah,
I'll come back and
we're
visit
trying
you
to get
guys.
to the Tahoes. If we can get some hand-me-down Tahoes, yeah.
We should have 3 of them coming up here.
Yeah,
We have 3 new Tahoes available.
When I got elected, they took me
you.
for a ride. They
Still
put me in the back
snowing?
of this car, and I can't get out the back.
We haven't got much, have we?
Used to be an old cop
I
car,
don't think so.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so what do we have left? We're gonna have Tuesday night, we're gonna talk about the capital purchases, debt, TIF. And then Wednesday night is where we're going to talk with John Cook, right?
No, Tuesday night, we're gonna start with John Cook and then go into the capital projects.
So we're gonna add John to Tuesday,
Yes.
and then what are we gonna do on Wednesday? Because we already did our decisions.
I think final decisions, including enterprise funds and capital projects and debt.
So we think Tuesday night, we're gonna be able to do all that and John. So it's possible that we could, since we did all of our we finalized up to today, so we will have less. So it's possible we could get it done Tuesday night is where I'm going with that.
It's possible, but there's a lot of information in capital projects.
Right.
That we want to allow another day in case council wants to make any changes in what's being proposed.
I think you could decide Tuesday because you won't get these materials until Tuesday.
Until Tuesday,
So
true.
you may want to review them after the meeting and reconvene on Wednesday to
True.
discuss.
But we won't be meeting on Thursday before Thursday. What's on our agenda for in-depth?
We have, Andrew's bringing forward a proposal for code changes on nuisance vehicles, so he's gonna give an overview of that. John Cook is giving a presentation on MORC, I think. And a second reading of an ordinance.
I think you can all safely scratch next Saturday off of your agenda. I think we'll be, in fact, this is my 6th budget. I don't think we've ever went into that third Saturday. Did you, Dwayne?
No.
No. So, and I think
Darn, I was looking forward to
we'll go right ahead.
That was prime rib Saturday too, wasn't it?
It was prime rib Saturday.
All right, well, I'm not hearing anything else, so I'll take a motion to adjourn and everybody can scoot out of here early and, yes. Dwayne?
Oh,
She's asked for a motion.
I was trying to
So moved. Oh, Peggy beat you. Peggy got it.
I was trying to decide.
There's one for Hoppy.
Too at large, council people, okay. Remind me of them old people, the Muppets thing, the two old guys with